Thank you for watching Special Report here on the award-winning TV station Maisha Television Kenya. We've got a lot of stories making headlines across the country, but remember, the Kuza Awards 2024 is here. Vote for Maisha TV as the fastest growing TV station. Simply SMS the word Kuza to 15601. The SMS is absolutely free. Alright, welcome to the broadcast. Now, President William Ruto on Thursday afternoon left the country for an official visit to Tanzania and Zimbabwe. According to State House spokesperson Hussein Mohamed, President Ruto's first stop was in Tanzania, where he attended celebrations commemorating the 60th anniversary of the union of mainland Tanzania and Zanzibar. Ruto will then embark on a 2-day state visit to Zimbabwe with the goal of strengthening Kenya and Zimbabwe political, economic and socio-cultural ties. The visit is expected to highlight the importance of international trade affairs and forums as drivers of economic development, industrial growth, global connectivity and job creation. Now, according to State House, the visit will strengthen Kenya-Zimbabwe's already strong bilateral relations by transforming the current Joint Permanent Commission for Cooperation at the ministerial level into a binational commission at the head of states level. The visit will conclude with the signing of 7 bilateral cooperation instruments spanning health, defense, investment, education, transportation, and capacity building in public service. Alright, from the corridors of power to the looming healthcare crisis, despite a court order stopping the government from intimidating or firing striking doctors, some of the striking doctors have received dismissal letters and have had their salaries for the period they have been on strike withheld. Among those who have been already receiving sacking letters are top union officials including KMPDU Deputy Secretary General Dennis Miskela and some doctors from Kajiado County. Have a look.
Every county will take the necessary action as they deem fit.
All good things must have a sacrifice.
These are some of the sentiments that doctors say, if they persist, will only mean more agony for Kenyans as the strike will not be called off.
Ignorance is not a virtue. As a person entrusted with the office, you should speak facts.
The parties were able to build consensus on the 18 of the 19 issues raised in the strike notice.
We have somebody offering something outside the collective bargaining agreement, and they're using reference of SRC document that has been suspended by the court.
Doctors maintain that stipulations in the return to work formula are mere promises that the government cannot be trusted to fulfill, considering its failure to fulfill the 2017 CBA.
We have about 5,000 level 3 hospitals across the country. That means we need 30,000 doctors. But yet, in the data population of the entire country, we have 6,000.
Despite a court order stopping the government from intimidating or firing striking doctors, some striking medics have received their dismissal letters and have had their salaries for the period they have been on go-slow withheld. Among those who have already received sack letters are Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacist and Dentist Union Deputy Secretary General Dr. Dennis Miskela. In a letter seen by Maisha TV, Dr. Miskela was fired from his position as Senior Medical Officer by the Kiambu County government for desertion of duty. In Kajiado County, Governor Ole Lenku-led administration on Thursday announced that it has stopped salaries of all striking doctors working in the devolved unit. Ole Lenku said the county will also not remit doctors' contribution to the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, and that the medics will be required to write show cause letters explaining why they are participating in an illegal protest against a court order.
We are left with no option but to stop the salaries of those who are on strike and begin a disciplinary process. We wish also to say that we will not remit dues to unions that are coercing, intimidating our doctors who are on duty.
Serikali itatumia pesa yake kwa njia nzuri. Ikiwa mtu hajakuwa kazini kwa siku 40, watu wa Kisumu, anafaa kulipwa ama hafai? Si ndio? Mtu kama amefanya kazi afanye nini? Alipwe.
Even as this continues, the doctors' union say their weekly protests return next week on Tuesday, and their demands remain the 19 issues which must all be addressed. KMPDU Secretary General Dr. Davjia Teller, in a press address on Thursday, said the cabinet went ahead and endorsed 70,000 Kenya shillings for doctor interns. That shows you the content in which the government has decided to hold this profession. As a union, we are saying yes, we can negotiate about everything else, but not on any issue that violates the sanctity of the CB.
The cabinet went against the court's order and still endorsed the 70,000. That shows you the concept to which the government has decided to hold this profession. As a union, we say, yes, we can negotiate about everything else, but we cannot negotiate on any issue that violate the sanctity of the CBA.
The union chairman, Dr. Abidan Mwachi, on his part said the strike continues and it's on another gear based on the lies by the cabinet secretary.
The strike by the doctors continues, and now with the new set gear following the publicity of the lies that have been set forth by the negative arts led by the cabinet secretary, we are now back to our 19 demands in full, in total, because we do not trust their words anymore.
The doctors say the government is not willing to implement the 2017 collective bargaining agreement and has instead chosen threats and intimidations.
Consider the plight of the Kenyans who cannot find treatment in hospitals when they go.
Dr. Ateli, in a letter to the Nairobi Regional Police Commander, has since notified of another doctor's strike scheduled for Tuesday next week, further requesting for police security.
There's no money, there's no victimization, there are no threats that will change our mind on this. And that's why we told them that if you think you have offered us something worthwhile, and then you want to violate our CBA on the part of interns, then that is a no. And it will remain a no until everyone is protected, from the interns to the consultants.
I would like to congratulate every doctor who has received either a show cause letter or a sacking letter. Put that in your remembrance album. It will show your blood streaks, your strained soles on the foot of the sand as you're struggling. Your chairman has been sacked 8 times. It will become totally embarrassing at the end of this bitterly embroiled war if you come out with nothing.
However, Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nahumicha said the ministry will move to court if the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union does not call off the doctor strike, which entered its 41st day on Tuesday. Since March 14th,
Follow up to the doctors' refusal to call off the strike, we have instructed our council to immediately move to court and file the status reports as to what we had agreed to and initialed on as a return to work formula. Equally, we will be asking our council to appeal to the court to review the orders that had been issued initially, so that we are allowed to take the necessary action to ensure that Kenyans continue to enjoy healthcare services.
The doctors have abandoned their duty stations and have been protesting the government's failure to post medical interns and obey a 2017 collective bargaining agreement on doctors' labor terms, laying out the progress of her ministry in wooing doctors back to work at a press conference in Nairobi. Nakumicha said they have embarked on a review of internship policy to align it with the inflow of interns.
Kuwa na maswala 19 ambayo walihitaji yatatuliwe. Kati ya hayo maswala 19, 18.5 yameshatatuliwa. Na katika kutatuliwa huko, pesa taslimu shilingi bilioni 6.1 zimepeanwa kwa madaktari. Kwa hivyo hilo jambo ambalo 5 halijatatuliwa sio kwa sababu serikali haitaki kutatua. Ni kwa sababu kuna kesi kotini ambayo imesema hilo jambo lisubiri. Basi serikali inasubiri hilo jambo litatuliwe, kisha yote 19 yatakuwa yametatuliwa. The ministry has received 2.4 billion for payment of internship. And I want to clarify that this 2.4 billion is available to the ministry up to June 2024. So the offer of 70,000 for those interns who need to be posted is still available, and this offer shall have to be renegotiated after June 2024.
All right, we hope all the stakeholders angling the healthcare sector will have a seat at the table and come up with an amicable solution. Now, moving on away from matters health to the darkest moment in the country where floods are, the Meteorological Department has warned of intensified rainfall in all 47 counties. In an advisory issued on Thursday, the weatherman warns that the heavy rainfall will continue for the next 72 hours, with schools set to reopen next week. The government says it is monitoring the situation to establish the effects of the heavy rains on learning institutions. Bushebi Jr. explains.
President William Ruto on Thursday chaired an emergency session of all the key stakeholders at State House. The meeting came in the wake of the nationwide floods, which have claimed lives and displaced thousands of families.
The rains have been truly a blessing to us as a nation. We have seen a lot of turnaround because of the rains, but also we have the challenge now of floods in different areas.
The meeting resolved to establish a multi-agency emergency response center domiciled in the Ministry of Interior.
And therefore it is important for us to be proactive in terms of what interventions can we make. And then I also asked the military, and I'm happy the Minister for Defense is here, to provide some of the capabilities they have to support citizens. I was very happy yesterday they worked with our teams in different parts of the country, including Machakos and other areas. So I think we just need to put everybody on the alert so that we can overcome this short season. I think they are saying in the next 3 or so days, as we also encourage the farmers and others to continue with what they have to do.
The president also ordered the National Youth Service to provide shelter to Kenyans directly affected by the floods. The affected households will be provided with food and non-food items.
I already told the National Youth Service to provide some land for us to relocate some of the people who are in the most dangerous parts of Nairobi. I had a conversation with Governor yesterday. I had a conversation with the DG of NIS. I had a conversation with the Ministry of ASAL and the CS Malonza. And so I think in that context, what are the flash points, and how do we, ahead of time, deal with those flash points? How do we mobilize members of the national government administration to support all this effort? Interior should be at the center of it.
Members of public have been urged to exercise caution while traveling, and those living within the areas where floods have taken place to to evacuate immediately.
There are citizens living in very dangerous places, and those are the most vulnerable at this point. We need to, with certainty, understand, and I'm sure, and I'm happy the Minister for Energy is here, so that we can begin to inform citizens if they are in places that poses danger to them. We begin to relocate them.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said the government is committed to sending daily alerts to inform Kenyans of potential floods in different parts of the country.
The outlook for the next week indicates that the country will receive above normal rainfall across the country. In that regard, all members of the public are urged to exercise caution while traveling and where they are in lowlands to move to higher grounds. On a daily basis, daily alerts will be issued to the people of Kenya to inform them of what is happening in areas where there is obvious danger and to appeal to them to cooperate with government agencies and other partners so that we save lives and livelihoods.
Briefing the country's emergency multi-agency response on Thursday, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said the move will help alarm the public and prevent calamities caused by flash floods.
We appeal to the people of Kenya, as government intervenes, to also take responsibility of their own safety. Kenyans are requested to be careful and not to dare nature, because it is dangerous to do so. The government, under the leadership of President William Ruto, will do whatever it takes, will apply all the required resources in terms of money and personnel to make sure that lives are not lost and the people of Kenya are protected from this disaster.
Additionally, a multi-agency center has been activated to monitor the flooding situation in the country.
Multi-agency emergency response center has been activated from 4 p.m. this afternoon and shall be domiciled at Nyayo House to monitor what is happening across the country and initiate immediate interventions to save lives and property.
His remarks have been echoed by various leaders in the country. The response by the government came less than 24 hours after the opposition led by Raila Odinga castigated the government of laxity in dealing with deadly floods affecting the country and the wananchi who have been affected with no help in the vicinity.
While we continue to receive reports from other parts of Nairobi and access to some neighborhoods that remains critically limited, we appeal to the government and other disaster response agencies to launch thorough search and rescue efforts in all affected areas and provide food rations, blankets, and medication to affected residents.
In addition, the Meteorological Department has notified Nairobi residents to expect heavy to very heavy rains exceeding 40 millimeters in 24 hours beginning Thursday. In the forecast broadcast on Thursday afternoon, the weatherman said the rain is expected to persist across several regions including the Lake Victoria Basin, Rift Valley, Highlands, west and east of the Rift Valley, southeast lowlands, coast and northern sector. The prediction said, and I quote, "The intensity is predicted to escalate surpassing 50 millimeters in 24 hours, the department said, and advised Kenyans to stay weather aware and prepared. It said the heavy rains are expected to persist from Friday, April 26th through to Saturday, April 27th.
It is important to point out that all forecasts show that the rains will be pouring some more tonight and the coming days, which means the disaster is about to get worse. Preparedness is key to forestalling a crisis of larger proportions.
On Friday, the head of state is expected to chair the Committee on National Disaster Response on the ongoing floods across the country. So far, 35 people have died since mid-March in flooding events that have affected more than 100,000 people, according to the UN, which cites Red Cross figures in the most recent update. Roads have turned into rivers in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, as a top official said flooding had escalated to extreme levels.
Following the heavy rains that happened in the city over the last few days, we've been able to look at the damage. Our disaster teams have been on call. The level of the rains has been very high, more than usual, and that's why we've seen a lot of damage in many places. The rivers have actually burst their banks, so Ngong River, Mathare, if you look, all across the city. Heavy rain has pounded Kenya in recent days, causing widespread devastation. In a clip that has been making rounds on social media, in Nairobi County, residents could be seen trapped on the roofs of their homes as the ravaging flash floods swept their homes away. Hundreds of others in Nairobi and nearby areas were marooned by floods following heavy rains overnight. Major highways have been submerged by flood water, causing traffic jams across the country.
Wa simu juzi usiku tukaambiwa amepata ajali, gari yake imeingia kwa mto. Tukafunga safari, tukafika hapa jana asubuhi na tukapata watu wenye walikuwa nasaidia kutafuta mili, lakini kutoka jana mpaka wa saa hii hatujampata. Tuliongea na yeye on Thursday 5.
In the recent days, a 5-year-old boy was left stranded by the flooding and was rescued by a police helicopter in Yatta, south of Nairobi, on Tuesday. The floods have continued to wreak havoc even as Masai Mara University students were drowned by the waters. On Thursday, the two students, a male and a female, were on adventure when the tragic incident happened. Narok County Commissioner Kapkech Lotiatia and County Police Commander Rico Ngare were seen at the scene, leading the search for bodies of the two students. For Maisha Prime, Maisha Television, Ambusha B Jr.